birth of a child is without a doubt an incredibly joyful event. I mean, who doesn't like babies? And when that first child is a son, in many cultures, it's an even more special event. But for Jewish families, this moment has deep-rooted significance, not just for the child, not just for the family, but for the entire cosmos. And it has to do with the fact that in Jewish tradition, that firstborn son doesn't even belong to the parents, it belongs to God. And in order for those proud parents to reclaim ownership of that child, a very special ceremony has to be performed. So what is this ceremony? Why is it such an important part of Jewish tradition? And what does it have to do with the redemption of all of humanity? In this video, we are exploring the mitzvah of Pidyon HaBen, redeeming of the firstborn son. Let's get mystical.
Okay, sweet. Pidyon HaBen today. But where is this place? Oh no. You know when you're dropping a pin, it's going to be in the middle of nowhere?
So my good friend Shalom and his wife Devorah are finally celebrating their first child. This is an amazing moment. I mean, it seems like just yesterday I was at their wedding. I mean, I should know, I officiated it. And finally, the first child is here. Incredible. Last month we celebrated the bris, the circumcision, and now here we are 30 days later, they finally get to fulfill the mitzvah of Pidyon HaBen. This is gonna be awesome, if I can find it. So one of the 613 biblical commandments, the mitzvot, is to redeem the firstborn son. You see, when God took the Jewish people out of Egypt, he did it through the 10 plagues, culminating with the death of the firstborn Egyptians. And when God spared the firstborn Israelite sons, he sanctified them and elevated them to a higher status. And in fact, even since the beginning of creation, God intended for those firstborn sons to be the Kohanim, the priests, and work in the temple in Jerusalem. And the Midrash even tells us that Esav, who was Yitzchak's firstborn son, was also supposed to work in the temple in Jerusalem. But when he found out that working in the temple could have potential dangers if the work wasn't done properly, he sold his birthright to his younger brother, Yaakov. But the new elevated status of the firstborn sons wouldn't last very long. You see, exactly 50 days after coming out of Egypt, the Jewish people gathered around Mount Sinai and then collectively had this super conscious revelation and experience of God. And after that experience, Moses told the Jewish people, all right, guys, I'm going up to the mountain 40 days, 40 nights, but don't worry, I'll be back. But because of a slight miscalculation they had, the Jewish people thought Moses was dead. They freaked out and ended up worshiping the golden calf. And as a consequence of that cataclysmic event, the kehuna, the priesthood, was taken away from the firstborns and given to the tribe of Levi. And although the priesthood was taken away from the firstborns, their kedusha, their sanctified status, still remained. And technically, they would still be obligated to work in the temple. And so to relieve them from that obligation, a special ceremony has to be performed.
We made it. Let's go. Okay, finally found the place.
Hello, I'm Shalom, and I am the father of this beautiful new baby boy. This is number one. This is the first.
And what does this mean to you?
Just so special. Just so special to be able to hold this beautiful soul that chose us as his parents, and to be able to welcoming him into a life living aligned with our ancient ritual practices on our ancestral tribal land here in Israel is the biggest blessing that could ever ask for.
In this ceremony, who is the officiating Cohen?
I am. So the firstborn Israelite belongs essentially to the Cohen, who's the representative of Hashem, of God. In order for that child then to assume, sort of speak, his own identity, then he needs to be acquired again. There's the special 5 shekel coins that are given, and they represent on the Kabbalistic level, the child is enveloped in this godly love on the spiritual level. And for that child then to have, so to speak, his own identity, there needs to be this exchange, the 5 coins of chesed, now allowing that child to be able to accomplish all of his heart's desires in this world for the good, and with a deep connection to his intention and his connection to his soul root. I've done, I think, around 6 or 7 Pidyon HaBens, I'm not sure. And my father has coins that date back for about 500 years from Morocco. And he received it from his father, who was a firstborn. And I've used those coins on several Pidyon HaBens. It was a great honor holding those coins that my ancestors have held, and have done this ceremony for hundreds of years. And this has been passed down in our family.
So what do you need to perform this ceremony? Well, you need a father, you need a child, you need a Cohen, and like Rabbi Cohen said, you need 5 silver coins that are at least 100 grams of pure silver, or the equivalent value according to the exchange rate on that day. The father brings his son before the Cohen and says,
"My Jewish holy wife has born to me this, our firstborn son."
Then the Cohen asks the father,
What do you want more? Your oldest son, or the 5 coins that you owe me?
I would prefer this beautiful child. You can have the coins, my dear Cohen.
and at this point the father hands the money over to the Cohen and makes the following bracha. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al Pidyon HaBen. And then there's another blessing that needs to be made. The Shechianu blessing. And this is where things get really interesting. There's a debate in the Talmud as to who is actually required to say this Shechianu blessing. Is it the Cohen? Should he make the blessing because of the enjoyment and the benefit that he is getting from the money that he's receiving? Or is it the father that is so happy because he gets to fulfill this mitzvah? But the mystical teachings of Judaism tell us that this debate is actually talking about something completely different. And it has to do with the redemption of all of humanity. You see, the mitzvah of Pidyon HaBen was given to the Jewish people when God freed them from slavery and took them out of Egypt. It was then that God, the Father, redeemed the Jewish people, his firstborn. And the mystics teach us that the Cohen, mystically speaking, represents God's light that gives life to all beings, but is inherently limited within the realms of creation. But the level of the Father, mystically speaking, represents God's light that is beyond creation. And the question as to who will say the Shechianu blessing is actually asking, how will the redemption of humanity play out? Will it come through the level of the Cohen, which means it will come within the order of creation, and it will come about in a natural process through the advancements in science and technology and a political process that will herald a new era of world peace? Or will it come through the level of the Father, which means that the redemption of all of humanity, the culmination of God's plan and the purpose of existence will come about in a supernatural way? That there will be open and revealed miracles even greater than the miracles that we experienced coming out of Egypt. So which one is it? Who says the blessing, the Father or the Cohen? Well, according to Jewish law, it is the Father that makes the Shechianu blessing. Some new insights learning about this mitzvah of Pidyon HaBen, redeeming the firstborn son. And if you'd like to know more about the why behind the mitzvot, the commandments, then please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.